I see we have a few guests. Can you please identify yourself?
Susan Dennis, Chester resident.
Dolores Shelton, Chester resident.
Fred Hamilton, resident of Upper Chester.
Catherine Lawson, resident of Toby Farms.
Josephine Selby, Chester, Pennsylvania.
Thank you for coming. Do we have any public comment on the agenda items today? Okay, and have a motion to approve the minutes for April 18th.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Do we have any action items from the executive session, Mr. Solicitor?
Mr. Chairman, there are no action items. We met in an information session at 11:30 today. We continued until the meeting commenced today, a little bit after 2 o'clock. We also, during that period of time, had an executive session. The executive session was about litigation, and there were two matters that we covered, a zoning hearing board matter and in Coleraine Township in Lancaster County, and a bankruptcy, the bankruptcy matter, which is the City of Chester's bankruptcy, which is pending in federal court. But no action is necessitated from the executive session. I have nothing further to report.
Okay, thank you. We'll go past item 7 since there's nothing from the solicitor there, and go on to item 8. It's the Chief Financial Officer's report. There's one item. 8A, request to approve expenses by function report. May I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Alyssa?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, the Director of Engineering's report. There are 3 items. Under item 9A, it's janitorial services for treatment facilities, and then the second item, janitorial services for the administration and distribution facility. May I have a motion for 9A?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to 9B, this is a contract for furnishing and delivery of distribution materials through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Cooperative Purchasing Program. Previously seen that listed as co-stars, and it's for $510,747.92. Mr. Washburger, would you mind just giving a summary of what distribution materials are for those in our audience?
Everything that's needed for distribution except the actual pipe. That's a short version of it. It's a very long list of 120 plus items.
I say that in our executive session, he went through about 100 items, and so he's made it more concise now. So it's basically everything underground that we put in there that's associated with the pipe. May I have a motion for item 9B, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Washburger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 9C is the request for approval of Princeton Hydro for 2024 reservoir services. I just want to make everybody aware that we're doing a lot of work out at the reservoir to assure that we have the best tasting water in this area. And Princeton Hydro has been helping us with that, and this proposal is for those services for $24,425. May I have a motion for 9C, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahala.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. There are no items under 10, so we'll move on to new business, item 11. Any new business? Okay, any old business? Okay, do we have any public comment on other matters?
Yeah, can I have a,
Yes, sir.
yes, my name is Fred Hamilton. I live in Upper Chichester, but I have a residence on 1113 West 7th Street. It's been like, I think 6 years ago, the Chester Water Authority was doing some work on the street and inadvertently busted the water main and the sewer line to my house there. And it was a back and forth for probably 4 or 5 months, but with the help of, Sheriff Joe McGinn, they came in and replaced the sewer line, the water line, which I appreciated. But now it's been 6 years. The line that they put in, the soil is sunk. So now in the front of the property, there's a sinkhole from the junction in the street all the way up to the house. I'm trying to figure out, since I was ran around in circles the last time by going to, your office, I'm trying to figure out what is the quickest way to get this resolved, because I don't know who replaced it. I mean, Mr. McGinn hired a person. They came, they did the work. I don't know who it was. They did a good job, but now I have a sinkhole, and it's affecting my property and the property next to it. So what is the quickest way to resolve this? Since I don't know who actually did the work when it was done.
We probably, I'm looking at Mrs. Ruttenberg there.
Yes.
Do you have some of the history or not?
Yes, if I could speak to you after the meeting, I'll take your address and I'll work with customer service to get back to you and figure out what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Josephine Selby at 937 West 9th Street. All right, you had a pipe broke, which would y'all fall out front. Flooded my cellar. I kept trying to reach y'all for over a year. Been longer than that. All right, I borrowed money to put a water heater in. All you offered to pay me was for my water heater. My cellar was ruined. They did not pump the water out. I'm the one who went and found something to get the water pumped out of my cellar. Took me a long time to even try to get them to come and take the stuff out of my cellar. My cellar was done. My cellar had a bar, everything in it. Don't want to pay me for any of that. And I did not pay anybody to come and clean my cellar out. They did. And when they sent the work, they called me back and told me they wanted papers for everyone who cleaned my cellar out. I don't know. Butler and his supervisor. I kept in touch with them. They sent somebody there to clean the cellar out. And they could tell you what was in there. I sent pictures and everything, what my cellar looked like. And then I had to call the plumber, because he said everyone did the thing out front, which was water company, closed over my valve for my sewer. And it's still the ground where they put the thing in out front, stick it down. There's no car there, still a comb there they put there.
And you said this was a year ago?
It's been longer than that.
Okay. Do we have any,
And I have been calling. I called so much. When I started calling y'all, what was I going on? I was 81, I'm 83 now.
God bless you.
And my husband's not here today because he's 95, so I'm here for him too. And I just keep getting a runaround.
We've submitted this to our insurance company.
Yes.
Normally, they will decline the claim if there's no prior knowledge of the break or that the pipe is faulty. So I will have to go back and check on the status of this claim and then work with our claim adjuster to figure out where we're at, what we need to do.
Would I had to put my heater. Now, the water heater did. My heater too, they said they couldn't fix. Man came in and said, oh no, that can't be fixed. I kept calling and calling until I found somebody, an old man all the way down Delaware. That man came and fixed that thing for $75. But everybody else was telling me, all these big plumbers and things was telling me it couldn't be fixed. Now, I could have just left it there and said, the heck with it, that I was out of my house a long time because it was cold in there. That was in February.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Mrs. Webkenberg is right behind you.
Yes.
Uh,
I will follow.
Sheila, after the meeting,
Okay.
if you have any other additional information to provide, that'd be great. But we'll, and if it's not satisfactory, let us know, whatever the resolution is, okay?
When's our next meeting?
Our next meeting, Michael, Mr. Davis.
June 20th, I believe. Let's see.
It's
June
after-
20th.
After the
June 20th?
June 20th.
CWA.
Yeah, June 20th.
We'll have some answers.
Yeah, I know, it's frustrating when these things happen, but I'm glad that you're, taking the action.
Yeah, they got my middle room where stuff should be in my cellar is in my middle bedroom.
Yeah.
And it's a mess.
I understand. Thank you for sharing that. Do we have any other public comment?
Just a comment on that, I have been working with Agnes to get your situation resolved, so it has not gone ignored. We have been working on it, and it has been some time. I also wanted to mention that, separate from anything that we have going on here, but Delaware County Foundation is in the midst of Delco Gives Day. So go to delcogives.org, find an organization that you'd like to donate to. It's a 24-hour period, so it started 7 p.m. last night, and it goes through 7 p.m. this evening. If you'd like to support Upper Chichester Library, we'd be happy about that. But there are several other organizations that are asking for your support as well. So please give. That's all I have. Thank you.
And public announcements? Okay, here's a public announcement. Everybody wants to come to a Juneteenth festival at Chester Park, Memorial Park, on June 15th from noon to 12, and they're featuring the legendary Blue Notes as the headliner and some other acts and so forth. I'm bringing it up because Chester Water Authority has been a sponsor of this event and appreciative. So if anybody wants a flyer, and it doesn't cost you anything. This is a concert you don't have to pay for. Bring your lawn chair and enjoy it, and bring your children. And bring your children, of course. There'll be activities for children and other things. You can read on it. If you want to vend this one, then notice.
We're going to have an anniversary of occurring. I think it's the 18th or the 17th. 18th. On May 18, 2017, the Chester Water Authority Board, at the time, voted 9-0 to decline the offer of Aqua to take over the Chester Water Authority. It's the 7th anniversary of our struggle coming up on May 18th of this year. Just wanted to mark that, and I'm sure that our friend Catherine Miller will have more to say about that as we get closer to that day, and that's been 7 years. So.
Something about the number 7, right?
Yes, lucky 7.
Actually,
Like shooting crap.
Frank, you also mentioned Water Independence Day.
That's what we've been doing, shooting crap.
June 8th, Water Independence Day at the reservoir. We'll be celebrating the May 18th anniversary there too, but this is an event that we've had for at least the last 3 or 4 years. We have a lot of activities. We have stand-up tanks for fishing for our children. We don't make it easier, we just keep them all in a much smaller tank. There's kayaking, there are other events there, there's good amount of food.
Well, I would say it's worth going just for the food. It's very pretty, but they have a soft serve ice cream truck that's to die for.
It's also free. I think there are buses that leave from the city, and the locations will be on the Chester Water Authority website. So everyone is invited. The reservoir belongs to the public. Part of the effort with our struggle with Aqua is to try to keep it that way. So this is an annual celebration of our independence, and it's our 7th anniversary, but probably our 4th celebration of it.
Yeah, also there's buses provided or transportation provided.
I think we post where the buses can be accessed on the web. Yes.
I invited my parents last year, and they left with a lot of nice Chester Water Authority swag. As if I never gave them anything.
Yeah, it's a really well-run event. If you can make it, please do so.
Frank, you have any flyers?
I don't have any
It's
here.
only a question.
But there are also available on the website. It's also an attraction to hunters and fishermen too. But most of the information is either on Chester Water Authority or the main CWA site, and also on the Save CWA site. Yeah, so. There'll be flyers which detail what the programs are and also the access.
Free food.
And we have many already.
Lots of food.
Free ice cream. I did not go back for seconds, but I was tempted.
Somehow I find that hard to believe.
Eric, any comments down there? All right, good, thank
Just
you.
gonna suggest maybe we get the ice cream truck here for the kids next weekend.
Get me here on time, huh?
Need more service than that.
Any other comments? All good? Okay. At this point, I'll like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.